So hi, Liz. I've been wanting to talk to you for so long and do an interview with you.
Yes. Hi, Katie. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I love, as you know, what you do. So tell everyone else, what do you actually do?
Well, I am a life and relationship coach, and I really work with people on kind of the holistic level. I incorporate all of the areas that I've studied over the years. But what I think my big mission is to connect people with their relationship to their self, their relationship with the people in their immediate life, like at home, and then to help people really connect with the people that are outside of that circle and just help them navigate through all of those different relationships that we have in our lives.
Mhm. And you and I both believe in really like taking a look and starting with why, right? Like why we do the things that we're doing. So
Absolutely.
why did you begin and have gone on this journey of doing what you're doing?
If I look at it really honestly, I love to help people. I remember being little and I would set up all my dolls and my stuffed animals in these situations. Either I was a teacher or I called it the adoption place. Like I had all these ideas and I wanted to connect, all my little dollies and my stuffed animals. I wanted to help them. Like I would teach them the things that I was struggling with at school. I had a lot of issues that I struggled with when I was little. And so I felt like when I taught them, I really understood. Like I was like, oh, that makes sense. And I learned that at a really young age. And then with helping my dollies find homes. I really didn't give them up to anybody. I wanted to keep them all, but I felt this strong yearning to help. My husband often will call me a do-gooder. I just have a servant's heart. I grew up visiting kids in hospitals with my youth group, and I just loved being connected to people. So that's really, I think, at the core, what I want to do. And that's how I found this. I'm like helping people with, their thoughts and relationships and their lives. Yes. Sign me up. So
of everything you do, what do you think is your zone of genius?
I like to refer to myself as the thought ninja. I really hold space well, and I listen to people, and I really practice, that thought of being there for them and helping them see their thoughts in ways that they did not realize that they were thinking. I think so often we believe our story, like we believe that we are just reporting the news of things that are going on in our life, and we think they are fact. And the truth is that we get to create the life and the thoughts and all of that we want every step of the way. And so I really love working with my clients to help hear what they're saying and help them change their narrative to start thinking the thoughts that they want, and then like living in that space, that breaking through like all of those ideas of what they thought was their reality.
That's so true. And then speaking of that, like our thoughts, what do you think is the biggest mistake that people make when it comes to their thoughts, their feelings, their actions, all of those things, and how they get stuck?
Believing that they're true. Like I said, like really believing that they believe their story. And that often refers to, whether it could be anything, like describing anything in their lives, but just believing that they're true so that they don't believe they can change it. It's like it's a self-imposed block, or those limiting beliefs. It's like they only can stretch out their arms so much, like I can't do it. I really like to show them that they can push through and keep stretching as far as they want and keep expanding and like living in that space.
How do you do that in like your unique way?
I would say that the first thing I do is listen, right? I listen to the words that people use, and then I will offer it up in the way that I heard it. So this is what I hear you saying. Um, and people will often qualify with, no, 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 that's not what I meant. And because we don't realize that how much we're just emphasizing that. So I will offer up that space. And then I say, well, let's look at it. We really look into, because I deal a lot with the thought feeling construct, right? Like how our feelings are created by our thoughts. So when people are saying something and they really believe it to be true, when we need to break through it, we have to find out what the feeling is. And then not only what the feeling is, what does it look like? And where do we feel it? And it often will then allow them to kind of get into more of the thoughts that have been creating this story. So we just shine the light, bring awareness into the space, and then keep moving through by questioning everything. Why? Why is that? Tell me more about that,
That's so beautiful. I want to hear a little bit about, how you also have created this in your own life, because, you have such a beautiful relationship with your husband. You have two awesome, independent, amazing women that you raised. And so tell me about, how we can create like this relationship that, we want, because relationships are very complicated most of the time.
Yeah. And I would say that, the way you see this life that I have created, it was not always this way. I was a very angry person. I felt very much victimized by my circumstances, which was where my head was spinning. But I had a very strong desire to know that that was not real. And so I kept looking. And I think when I really sat down to look inside of myself and who I was and realize I had these thoughts that were not serving me anymore, I was able to step into the person that I knew I could be and allow that person to connect with my kids and my husband. And, being in that space of really trying to always speak respectfully, like that is a big deal in relationships in general. And that is tough. It's tough in the moment. It's tough with kids. We want to yell. Because we there's all these feelings that come up, but really, again, it just comes from that's the story. I believe that those things were true, that those relationships were tough, and therefore they became tough, right? When I stepped into the person that I wanted to be and created stronger relationships from that place, I no longer had those beliefs. Mm-hmm. And, and that's from that place that I move out. And that's what I teach my clients too.
Mm-hmm. Besides coaching, you do something called quantum healing hypnosis technique, or QHHT.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? How did you even know what that is? And then what do you think is the best benefits of that?
Okay. It's huge.
I know from personally experiencing it with you.
Yes.
As my guide, and it was incredible, a life-changing experience. But explain to us like what that really is, and how did you even get into it?
So one of these areas that I started really, when I started developing the me that I wanted to be, and when I started having this kind of awakening to like waking up to myself and realizing that I've always been this person, but I was kind of sleeping. I had decided that I was no longer going to say no to things that interested me. and that I would just I would be willing to look into them. And one of like some of those things was like working with my hands and doing things. And when oftentimes I would play in the garden, right? So I was in the garden, I was listening to a podcast, and Julia Cannon came up, and she is the daughter of the late Dolores Cannon. And she was talking all about quantum healing hypnosis technique. And I stopped, like, what is this? I have to know more about it. And I was in such that space of expansion. I had to know more about it. And I found out as much as I could. I was just like, tell me more, tell me more. So I started listening I bought Julia's book. I bought Dolores's book. I was listening to them while I was doing things. I instantly went inside and started doing research on the computer. And what I found was Dolores was this woman that had started doing hypnosis with her husband, like in the 60s. And she was developing this, it was just a simple thing that it was kind of like a thing that these folks would do together, like they'd get together and hypnotize each other. But she was really good at it, right? And so she was helping people like stop smoking and lose weight and doing all these things. And then she realized she was tapping into something more when she had a client that started speaking as if she was from a different time. And through her years of like being diligent and working so hard, she was able to find out that she could bring people to the space to tap into essentially their past lives. And so that's the birth of QHHT. And it started with just past life regression. But what Dolores found over time is that not only could she connect people to their past stories, but she could also connect them to that part of them, that higher self, which she called the subconscious, because that was the name during, that was all the rage at that time. We now refer to it as SC for subconscious. But she was able to tap into that consciousness, which is our higher consciousness, which is the consciousness that is connected and collective. And people will come to me for a session. It's kind of set up in 3 parts. We go through past life, we connect with the higher consciousness, and we're able to ask questions of our higher consciousness to have the transformation. And then the 3rd part would be listening to the recording of ourselves in that state, saying those things, and, telling ourselves the answers to all of our questions through the higher knowing. Just as you've said, I really do believe that is where the healing takes place.
I absolutely believe that.
Magical healing experience as told to us through our own voice. And it is amazing. It is amazing.
Yes. And even if you don't believe in past lives, or if you don't, whatever, that the past lives thing is like, that part of the session is more or less to give you clues to your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have had very super sciencey people come and see me, and I've had skeptics come and see me, and I've had people that don't believe in past lives. No problem. They all have stories that come through, whether they believe them or not. And I just tell people, look, it's just whether you want to or not, it's a story that your brain is giving you to help you make sense of the life that you're living now. So you have some question about something, and that's why it comes through in that highly relaxed state. And it's just a beautiful state of relaxation that our body goes through, where we can tap into the area of our mind that wants to help us with the highest intention of helping.
And you've worked and learned from the best of the best, right? Like Tony Robbins, Robbins-Madanes, Brooke, Castillo, and Dolores Cannon. What do you think has been the common thread with all of these teachers for you?
I would say all of them believe that, that we are our only limitation. Like we can there is nothing that is keeping us back except for ourselves, and to really know that we can continue to break through and get through, you know, all those restrictions that we have, all those obstacles that we see. You know, there are solutions to all of them, and just keep searching. They're there. They're there. Yeah.
That is so incredibly profound. I love that. And then, so you and I are part of the Limitless Collaborative. And since you were just talking about, you know, we are only our own limits,
Yeah.
why did you want to join the Limitless Collaborative?
Well, it's amazing because I think we are a group of like-minded individuals that are all on a mission to help people, and to help people in ways like with no boundaries, right? Like with a limitless availability, like just keep offering so much value that can enrich our lives. We all have that desire to help people. It was a no-brainer for me. You know, I mean, I looked at the wonderful people that were involved, and I couldn't wait to sign up.
What do you think that anybody can get from it? Like when somebody signs up, like, you know, why is it important for somebody to sign up and what can they get from this Limitless Collaborative?
I think the first thing is, again, it's the awareness to really know themselves and know their starting point, and work with all these different individuals that we may have different backgrounds, and we may have different ways of approaching these things, but you will really get into the space of knowing yourself and knowing how to become limitless, like knowing how to really get in that space of flow and keep learning and keep, you know, looking at it from different directions and from different angles from different people, but all with the intention of growing bigger and better and breaking through all perceived limitations.